Hi everyone, it's Matt's uncle here from Ingram Micro's new team. We're called the Emerging Vendor Team, really focused on launching our new vendors and products on the marketplace, bringing some new solutions and technology to our partner ecosystem. Today we have Omri on the line with Storage Guardian, owner and operator, and also Tal, Solutions Architect at Storage Guardian. We have a product overview coming for you with regards to how you can simplify and save on Veeam using Storage Guardian solution. So with that, I'll kick it off to Omri.
Okay, my name is Omri Farragon, and I'm the owner-operator of Storage Guardian. Storage Guardian has worked together as a managed service provider to deliver dedicated cloud backup service and disaster recovery as a service. This is year 19, according to my LinkedIn. I've aged a couple of years in the last 2 months, but it's all, I guess that's why we have LinkedIn to remind us 70 years we've been in business for. 6 years ago, Storage Guardian has transformed themselves from a traditional remote backup service provider to focus more on the independent software side of the business, and that landed us the ability to position us as not only a premium remote backup service provider, but also wrap around the way we see ourselves going to market with strategic partners such as Ingram Microcloud. Matt and I, we discussed, explaining how Storage Guardian differentiates ourselves from the marketplace and how we're able to win business in these challenging times and grow. He asked me to present, and I am grateful to Ingram Micro for that. And a couple of key differentiations, when going to market with Storage Guardian, which has aligned ourselves with the Ingram Micro cloud that can be consumed through the Ingram Micro cloud, is the ability to consume and buy our cloud services directly from our marketplace that's placed on the Ingram Micro cloud. Specifically, the areas that you can buy our services via the Ingram Micro cloud is the Veeam SelfProvisioning portal and the DR Planner, which are areas that we're going to demonstrate to you today. And that will allow you to accelerate your disaster recovery as a service, as well as other services we offer, our desktop, laptop backup, network attached storage, and then extended protection for cloud to cloud like Office 365 and Dropbox. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, some of the areas that we go to market with are some gaps that we see on the marketplace utilizing the Veeam platform. And the Veeam, which we absolutely love, it's grown our business, has some limitations. Number one being, the ability for partners who don't want to host their own repositories not to be able to manage their own quotas and their own tenants. And what Storage Guardian has done is given partners the ability to manage their own quotas, add tenants on demand as they need to, and be the ultimately control how much storage they give to their customers. The reason we do that is that by allowing you as the partner to not over provision your quotas of storage, it allows you to control the costs associated with the cloud backup, it allows you to as well, provision on demand as a self-service. As Veeam does not allow administrators who are not administrating the Veeam self-provisioning console or the Veeam availability console not to do that. And so what partners, have done is over provision their quotas of storage. And, ultimately increases the cost of the services. And, you're sincerely paying for empty space on the repository. And, we're able to overcome that utilizing what's called the Veeam self-provisioning tool. And we'd like to do a demonstration of that, during the presentation and the latter part of the presentation. Next slide, please. So what you see here is the native Veeam service provider console, which recently launched. It's also known and fully supported as the Veeam availability console, or the VAC. As you can see, from our point of view, Storage Guardian is able to dispense quotas of storage for our partners' behalf. And as I mentioned, what partners say is, well, I'd never want to bump into my my total quota because that will adversely affect my customer's backup. So over provision each tenant or each customer the quota storage. And sincerely, what that does is it means that you're overpaying, overcommitting for quotas of storage when you don't need to. We feel that by being the independent software vendor as we are, we're taking care of our partners. And so what we've done is we've added another lens to that. And that lens is called the Veeam self-provisioning tool, which allows, on one hand, Storage Guardian to be the repository and the destination as the authorized Veeam service provider. But on the other hand, give our partners more control of the quotas of storage per tenant per month. And then when it comes time to increase the tenants and the quotas of storage, we allow our partners to do so on demand as a self-service. Next slide, please. So by allowing our partners to self-dispense their own quotas of storage, it's a departure from the way we go to market from our 19 years, delivering services. We have seen market trends ebb and weigh. The current way backup as a service is delivered is based on a quota of storage, as opposed to selling it on a per terabyte per month basis. That's an area that we feel Veeam has really excelled in by locking down and managing quotas of storage. And because what that does is it allows partners to control ultimately the monthly cost and not be having rogue backup sets by having their customers dump too much data in their file system. And so we think that that's a really good thing because it allows the predictability and the overcome of the storage. Yeah. So we think that's a good thing because it allows predictability for customers. However, on the other hand, if you cannot exceed your quotas of storage, that means you're not in full control. And so the common balance between restricting quotas of storage and adding more storage as a self-service is a byproduct of what we developed called the Veeam self-provisioning tool, which on one hand allows the service provider to add quotas of storage based on the compressed, deduplicated amount of data, but on the other hand allow the service provider to consume additional quotas of storage as a self-service when they need to do that. Next slide, please. So what we've done is, as a Veeam service provider, is we've allowed ourselves to develop software around the API stack around Veeam, and what that will allow users to do is just have a managed service lens and a better view, a better control of all their tenants within their Veeam availability console, and deliver this in a cost-effective manner with predictable pricing for their users. What you're viewing here is an example of something we're going to demonstrate, is allowing users to grow in small increments on demand as a self-service, which toggles back to the Veeam Service Provider Console when you need more storage. And by doing so, you're not overpaying, you're only buying, adding quotas of storage on demand when your customer needs to, and grows, which will allow you to grow on demand. Next slide, please. Next title, please. So now that we've learned a little bit more about our capacity-based planning based on a quota storage, some questions might come up as to how Storage Guardian goes to market and our pricing. As you saw on the previous screen, we saw the pricing is based on increments of 100 gigabytes of tiered storage. The pricing is based on the compressed, deduplicated amount of data. And what we typically see with Veeam is a 2-to-1 compression ratio. And so for every 200 gigabytes of uncompressed storage, Storage Guardian will charge you based on the compressed value of 100 gigabytes of data. And then the way we go to market with Ingram Micro is that Storage Guardian includes all of the Veeam licensing that would require utilizing the Storage Guardian monthly rental. So no longer would you need to, dispense licenses to Veeam. We all wrap it up into the one monthly cost for you. Next slide, please. One area that we see in terms of the way we go to market is utilizing a low cost to market being the backup as a service. Some say that it's a commoditized area, but it's a necessity. Whenever, from experience, when we see that there is a commoditized backup as a service, there's always a premium to sell. And with Veeam, we see that the premium associated is around the validation and the preparing for disaster recovery. And what we'd like to do is walk you through a 10-step process on the premium, where we feel that you can add more value and allow your customers to consume a more expensive part of the service called Veeam Disaster Recovery as a Service, or our take on it, which is a validation. So we're preparing your customers to spin up servers, and that capabilities will allow you to have a successful disaster recovery as a service, take your customers from the backup as a service license, spin them up, or utilize the Veeam replication. And on that note, I'd like to introduce you to my associate, Tal Tsur, who can walk you through the 10-step process.
Thank you, Omri. Hi, everyone. So yeah, the 10 steps. So the first thing we think you should do is involve management. So a lot of these processes fail because management is not involved, and eventually they will make the decision. So there are a few things you will need here. So you need somebody that is able to declare a disaster. If something happens, somebody needs to take the decision to declare a disaster. Our take, as we said, that's management. Management should be the one that declared, and you should have somebody from management to do that. Who should perform the recovery? It's pretty easy here for us, technical guys, you know. That'll be more the technical part, you know, and the technical engineers should do that, right? That's a more technical job. And of course, another question is what are the RTOs and RPOs we want to use, right? So these are big questions. Second thing you have to do is basically make a list, all right? Inventory is basically making a list. We have to list all the critical machines in our organization, right? It can be computers, it can be servers, but you have to make this list. If you don't make this list, you don't know what is critical. So you have to make a list of everything. And also, if you can, you might have already done that, but you should consider migrating part of it to the cloud already, if you haven't done so. And of course, we have to prioritize the machines. So always there are machines that are more important than the others. So if I have an organization, let's say with 300 machines, we have to prioritize, right? So you have to do that as well as part of the stages. Another thing here that's very common, you know, with the backup side is the consideration of the 3-2-1 rule, right? You have to keep 3 copies. So just best practices, you do that, you're better covered. So that's another key factor for you. The fourth thing that we're doing, basically create a playbook. The reason to create a playbook is very easy. It's because lack of communication creates chaos. And when you communicate correctly and everybody is on the same page, then everything works better. Same thing here, right? So we're creating a playbook. We're listing the inventories. We're telling you where the backup locations are. Everything that you need to plan. Who will declare the disaster? Where's the office located? All of these things have to be included so you can get a better decision and can get a better playbook afterwards. So you have to have all these details inside. Number 5, you need to define, like we said, you need to define who's going to declare the disaster. If we don't have this person, do we have somebody else that is backing him up? That's more questions that you need to ask yourself and you need to prepare to. So we need to know who will declare the disaster, how can declare the disaster, what's going up next, and that's communication again. So in most cases, when you do the backup, you have keys. So we have to make sure, you know, we have the keys. Like it says here, no keys, no recovery. It's that simple. So you have to have the keys. You have to have the knowledge where everything is. Another very important step of the way. Number 7, information. Communication, as we talked, communication will go along all the slides, but eventually you need this kind of system to inform everyone what's going on. And that's why we have the playbook. This is something you can share. So you can share with everyone, okay, this is the playbook, this is what's going down. These are the servers that we're going to spin up. This is the order. This is how long it's going to take. When you have all of these, it makes things a lot simpler because everybody understands what's going on next and what's going on now. And that's basically, like we said, communication. If you do the communication part better, it will be more relaxed and everybody will be on the same page. Connection. So in terms of disaster recovery, there are a few possibilities, of course. One of the possibilities is to spin up a machine in the cloud, right? So if we're spinning up a machine in the cloud, how are we going to access this cloud? Do we want to allow everyone free access? Of course not. We want to make it secure. So our take on that is that we're making sure this environment is secure. We're making sure we are working with the firewalls. We're assigning VPN connections. So everyone that needs to connect has to go through the VPN. It's more secure. keeps you safe. And testing is main important thing, right? So you have to test. In order for all three of these to work, you have to test it. Okay, once you have tested it, everything is working, you have to think about people that are connecting. So if I'm a company that I have vendors or other customers that are connecting to my system, I need to think about them in case of a disaster. Do I want to give them access or not? So everything here is part of the planning as well as execution. Testing, you have to test the solution. You cannot just say it will work. It doesn't. You have to come, you have to practice the declaration, you have to see the issues, you have to fix the issues, and eventually our take is that we plan, we test, we fix all the issues, and then eventually we will test it one last time from A to Z and show you that you have a working solution. So in case something happens, you know you have a working solution, you're not worried. That's the first thing. The second thing is you cannot really tell the company, yes, we're going to be up and running in 1 hour, for example, if you don't test it, because it has to be tested. That's the only way you will have that number. Before that, it's only speculations. Okay. Another question: when you're testing, do you want to use the backups or you want to use a replication solution? As probably all of you know, replication is a little bit more premium solution. It's basically cold standby versus hot standby. And that depends on the company. Some company says, you know what, I'm not worried about being down for 2.5 hours, I'm good. And some companies will come to you and say, you know what, I have to be up and running in less than 20 minutes. So you have to match the solution to your customer. And that's another thing you have to think about. Okay. Circle back. Circle back means that this is not ending once you tested it and saw it's working. It's part of the process in the organization that we'll have to go through. So you have to keep in mind that you have that, because what happens is that people are replaced, maybe management leaves and then somebody else comes. So you have to make sure that everyone is updated. If you need to replace the person that is declaring disaster, for example, so you have to update that. If you're, this year Microsoft put 2 products end of life that concerns most of us. And for example, if you had to decommission few servers, so you have to update the inventory, right? So maybe now they're not on the critical servers anymore. So these have to be updated. And you have to test it at least twice a year to make sure you have a working solution. As we see, most of our customers test it at least 2 to 3 times a year, just to make sure everything is up and running. Because again, things change. It's a dynamic environment, so you have to retest it again and again. Okay. Yeah. So that's it about that. Now I will go on and demo to you the self-provisioning tool that Omri mentioned. So as Omri mentioned, we use Veeam. We love Veeam. It's a great product. What we saw in order to build this portal, what we saw is that it can be better. We wanted to make sure it's easier for our customers to manage the Veeam side. And let's do a quick demo here. So I'm going to log in as Acme Demo, which is my MSP. Sorry, wrong one. So I'm going to log as Acme Demo, which is my MSP demo. And once I log in, I can see myself. If I expand the list, I can see all my customers in a nice tree structure. Veeam calls it tenant. That's the Veeam terminology. And what you can see here, if I click on one of my customers, and I'll make it a little bit bigger for you guys so you can see. If I click on one of my customers, I'll be able to see what is the quota that I assigned for that specific customer. The red will indicate how much is currently using. The blue will be how much remains from the 400 gigs minus the red. You can see what was the last backup and status and date and time. We'll give you the option to see the Cloud Connect details. So that's basically if you want to back up with Veeam to the cloud. You will be able to see the license consumption per category. And one of the things that we changed here and we added, because like Omri said, with Veeam, one of the problems that we saw that you had to over provision your storage just to avoid reaching the quota. Because with Veeam, once you reach the quota, the backups are stopped. So instead of just overshooting your quota just to avoid a backup stop, so you had to over provision, like we said. So if you had 1 terabyte, people took like 2 terabytes just to be on the safe side. Our intention here is to make sure that the storage you need is what you will provision, not more. And the first thing we have done here, we created the warning levels. So the warning levels will give you 2 warning levels. Most of our customers do it exactly like you see it here, 80% for the first one, 95% for the second one. You can enter an email address to be notified about one of the levels, and also a number to get text messages. It's an optional. You don't have to use the text message, only if you want to. What happens is that once you reach the second quota and you will be notified, that's usually where you would like to take action. And in most cases today, with people that are not using our software, you have to reach out to your supplier and ask him to add more quota. In this case, what we have done here, we allowed you to manage your own quota because, we feel that most of the MSPs want to do it by themselves. They don't want to wait for it. They just want to do it. So the first feature you can see here, the modify quota. So as we said, you can modify the quota by yourself. You can either add or decrease. And 2 things here in this window, you get the same information as you can see here. The first part here will show you the quota, how much you're utilizing at the moment, which is a little bit than 20%. And in 323 days, we'll reach the quota if we'll keep on the same backups. The thing here is if I increase the quota, the numbers will change accordingly because we keep statistics and we see what's going on, and then the information you see here is updated according to the backups that you're doing today. So you can increase, you can decrease, and then you can see what's going on and take a good decision once you do. Once you have decided what is the quota that you want to assign for this customer, you just click on the submit button, and we update the Veeam through our APIs. And usually every update to the Veeam side will take up to a minute, which is a good time. Think about if you have to reach out to your ISV and ask him to increase a quota. I'm pretty sure it will take more than 1 minute, and it's quick and it's updated automatically. So once I click it, usually less than 60 seconds, you'll see the quota here updated. So that's one of the features. The second feature is the modify status feature. The modify status allows you basically to put an account under locked status. Our main use case for that, let's say one of your customers got hit by ransomware, right? Although everyone take all precautions, something can always go wrong. So you can put the account under locked status. That will prevent from new backups to come in, still preserve your current data that you backed up so far, and that way you can resolve quietly all the issues you have with the ransomware. Once you have resolved it, you can go back and change it to active. That way you will be able to maintain your backups intact. The modify view by tenant is an option to allow your customers to view that donut that you see here and the information. We allowed basically a read-only user. So when he will log in or she, you will see that they won't be able to change anything. Of course, it will be a view-only option. So what you have to do is check the checkbox, enter the login name, password, put the email address here, click on save, and then just share the link with them. then they will be able to connect here and have a view only on their tenant only, of course. So it's per tenant, okay? It's not for everyone. Adding new customers, which is add new tenants in the Veeam terminology. So how can we add a new tenant? We click here. The nice thing about this, it's very easy. I don't know how many of you have done this for the Veeam availability console in the past. It takes a couple of minutes just to create a new tenant. So what we have done here, since we're creating the account, we're putting all the defaults here. So you can see the warning levels are already here. The email address is already here and the phone number. So basically, when you create a new tenant, the only thing you need to do, you need to enter the tenant name, decide what is the quota that you want to assign to that specific tenant, and click on Add Tenant. Again, the same thing. Every time we reach out to the Veeam side, it takes up to a minute. Usually, we see a much faster response time. I see there is. I think there is a question here. So just a second. Okay.
We love it. Go ahead and ask the question. You know.
No, there wasn't any. So.
We still want the questions.
Yeah, of course, always. Okay, so the next feature I want to show you.
There's a question, actually, guys.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead. Why don't you read the question, Matthew?
Does Storage Guardian solution allow for use of Veeam protection against insider attacks to keep deleted backups on your system that cannot be managed by the tenant?
So I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Omri.
Yeah. I mean, we fully support the Veeam Insider Protection, and we allow partners to set up a retention utilizing that in 9.5, and we're currently using, Veeam 10, the service provider console. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And you can define your own retention, whether it's 7 days, 2 weeks. It's up to you, based on best practices using the grandfather son, methodology that Veeam has, mentioned in their documentation.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions there, Matthew?
Nope, I think we're.
Okay, perfect. So far we talked about the cloud solution. Now we're going to talk about the alerts. So with alerts, we have created basically a focal point for all your agents to report back. So everything is reported back here, as you can see, all the resolve, the errors, the warnings, the information. We can, of course, filter out whatever we don't want, and we can set up a specific date or a specific period of time. The default will be the last month. And you can get some information from here. You can pretty much do a lot of the investigation here. So I see that there is an error. I see that this is the computer name. I see that the object from Veeam, the alarm from Veeam is this one. And if I click on the error itself, it will pop up the error as we get it from the Veeam agent. Okay, it allows you to pinpoint the problem so you can take action about it. And also you can see here, you have the number of repeats. So you can see exactly how long it's been going on. Okay, so that will be the alert mechanism. Yeah, the next part will be the reports. We have two types of reports here. We have statistic reports and tenant detail reports. The statistic will give you statistical information about all your customers. And in order to generate the report, you just click on the Generate Now button. It will send the report to your email address. With the tenant detail reports, we also added the option to schedule it. We see a lot of our MSPs are utilizing it as a billing report because you have the customer name, you have the quota that you assign to this customer, and you have how much he's using. So with this report, you can actually add multiple email addresses. You can schedule it on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. If you did decide to give your customer a read-only user, this is where you'll be managing it for configuration users. And you can see the user here. You just check the checkbox, and then you will be able to change the login name, the password, and the email address. Okay, so that's for the Veeam self-provisioning tool. Any questions so far?
Does this work for the Veeam replication tool, or is there an option for Veeam replication as well?
So there is an option for Veeam replication as well. So you can manage a lot of the Veeam from here, but Veeam replication basically will just check it out for you. But we can definitely
we can view the Veeam as either the Veeam planner, the DR planner as the next option, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Sorry for that. Okay. So we were discussing about the Veeam planner, right? What you need to do in order to plan ahead and all of that, the 10 steps. So this is our take, what we have done. We created a portal here that will allow you to better plan for a disaster recovery as a service. And again, same thing, we're logging as our Acme demo account. And what you can see here from the demo plan, there are a few ways to do that basically. So as we said, you have to plan ahead. You have to have some kind of a list. And then you enter all of the list here. So what we are adding here is what type of application it is. Is it Active Directory? Is it Exchange? Anything else? What is the machine name? What is the machine type? Is it a VMware, Hyper-V? What is the operating system, the IP address? How many gigabytes of RAM, cores, and storage you need? This is important when you are spinning up machines in the cloud and also when you're replicating, because you need to know what you need to have on the other side. Okay, so we'll be taking this for each and every machine. So you can either enter it manually or you can use our import tool, which allow you to basically match the fields and then all the information will be uploaded. Okay, so when everything is uploaded here, you can see on the right side, the rectangles are basically the computers. The yellow ovals allows you to create basically a wait time between each server to create some delay. So like in our example here, Active Directory is up and running. We're delaying 10 minutes, the second one. So we want Exchange to start running when Active Directory already is up. So you can do that. You can create a delay if you need to. That's another option for you. As we said, you need to know who is going to be declaring the disaster. So once you have found that person, what we'll do, we'll record his information here. So we'll ask you to provide us with a 3-digit PIN number. We'll extend it to 8 digits to make it more secure. You'll add all the information of that person that is going to be declaring the disaster here. And what we talked about is, you know, I need more people to notify if something happens. So first of all, we have a backup. Second of all, more people know, better communication. So you can update up to 4 other persons on the stages of the declaration and what's going on and what are the stages. And on the right side here, you can see the servers that we're gonna take action upon. So spin up in the cloud or do the replication.
Okay, I just want to clarify one thing here, because we're managed service providers. We really want to position your customers on the C level to make that declaration. And while they've hired you to run their IT, their infrastructure for them, you know, the problem is that you're probably best suited to make the declaration because you're part of the technology. But in our opinion, it should be them that makes the declaration. And so what we've done here, we've used very familiar technology, such as, voice dial, interactive voice, or texting, or a website to make that declaration. And by doing so, you can prepare your customer to make that declaration and let the owner of the business or the CFO make that declaration. And then we'll follow suit together with you. Yeah. Go ahead, Tal.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we're done with the planning. We have our person that's going to declare. We have the list. Next step, testing. As we said, this solution is not an out-of-the-box solution. You actually have to test that it's working. So in order to test that it's working, we're going to fail over. We're going to see all the issues that we usually see. We see a lot of IPsec issues. Of course, if you're dealing between two firewalls, I don't need to tell you, you understand what's going on there and that it needs to be adjusted, ports open, all of it. So we need to test, we need to adjust. We need to make sure that the environment is up and running and working properly between the servers that we spin up in the cloud. Once we have done that, that's where we'll add the VPN connection to make it more secure. We'll provide you with the VPN connection. And once we have done that, that's why we have the last line here. So every time that we test, and the last time that we test, we'll document how long it took us to restore each server. So eventually, when you come up to your customer and he's asking you, how long will it take me to be up and running in the cloud? You have that number now because you tested it. Before that, you can only speculate. You don't have that number. Okay, so we document how long each machine took us to restore. We are also documenting the date. We want to make sure it's documented when we tested it, because if you want to do the testing twice or 3 times a year, you have to document it. Okay, once you have tested it, what you'll get is the playbook. So you'll be able to print the playbook and provide this to your customers. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here so you can see. So what we're getting here is the plan name, the PIN number, who is the person that is going to be declaring the disaster, who is the person that is going to be notified as well, the ways to declare a disaster. So as Omri mentioned, you can use voice calling to declare a disaster. That's the first option. Second option will be to use the IVR system to guide you through. The third option will be via texting. So you can text and then declare the disaster. And the last option will be to log into this website and just declare the disaster. The second page will give you the sequence of the servers, machines, workstations, any other device that we add. So you get the machine name. It tells you when it starts and also give you a few more details about this machine. If we have a delay like we created, so you can see here, 10 minutes after above machine, recovery starts. So it will give you all the details you need in order to be on the same page with each other. So you'll have that plan. Usually that's what the organization will, will send to everyone, so everyone will be on the same page. That's it. Omri, do you want to add anything else?
As an ISV, independent software vendor, we deliver our services based on the consumption utilizing the Ingram Micro marketplace. That's a really good way to procure a trial utilizing both the backup as a service and the validation, disaster recovery as a service, and utilizing our unique way to not only prepare your customers for disaster recovery, but also document and transition and manage the responsibilities of declarations, whether it's yourselves or your customers. The questions need to be asked. And by doing so, we hope that you're able to, get more, premium value out of the solution, and of course, charge a premium for this offering because of your uniqueness in going to market. typically when we demonstrate this, people think that this is a very large disaster recovery as a service offering with a lot of high costs. But in fact, the cost of the DR planner is bundled in together with your consumption that you buy through the marketplace, and we just deliver on a per virtual machine per month basis, and you benefit from the planning capabilities and of course our expertise to guide you through the market to provision workloads on our VMware cloud. And we encourage evaluations, proof of concepts, and engagement to ensure that we meet customer expectations. And we'd like to thank you for joining us on this call. We have 10 minutes left, I believe, if there's any additional questions on the Veeam self-provisioning tool or the validation planning tool that we're demonstrating.
Yeah, Omri, I see here a question from Kirby. How do you return to normal operation once the event is over?
So as soon as you fail over to the Storage Guardian Cloud using Veeam, there's tools that allow you to fail back utilizing the Veeam Replication tool. And we would utilize those tools on the failback. And great question. That's often, one of the questions after we finish up with a validation is, okay, how do we return this to, to the primary site? And, we walk through those processes, and then we document that potentially as a way of a gap in a real life disaster is failing back.
And then
another question here. Yeah, go ahead. Another question here is a question from Dave. Do we need to have our own Cloud Connect licenses, or is it included with your service?
Everything that we demonstrated is included in the service. We issue to you your Veeam availability console and all the Veeam licenses, and so you don't need anything else. Storage Guardian provides everything.
Okay. Back to you, Matthew.
Perfect. Well, thanks everyone. Thank you for the presentation. So you're aware Storage Guardian is available on the Ingram Marketplace. We also have a team that can assist you in walking through the purchase, and we'll have a recording of the webinar being sent out along with some additional data sheets and contact information if you'd like to schedule an additional call, one-on-one demo, for instance, or what I'll also mention is that there's a trial available on the Cloud Marketplace as well if you want to test that out too. So appreciate everyone's time, and enjoy your weekend and stay safe.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.